Hello and welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show right now on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your opinions and thoughts. This is 18 Hours special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center in every industry and area that matters to you. On Influencer tonight, we're bringing you a conversation with Faasos, and on Leader Focus, we bring you a segment on the food space. Thank you for speaking with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, Jaideepa. Let's start by talking about the internet, and the internet has completely changed every industry it has touched, and the F&B industry is no different.
Well, I actually think F&B is the last frontier of internet. It's been 25 years since the internet was born, but there is no Amazon of F&B. You know, how strange is that? But I guess the structure of the industry, you know, how F&B operates worldwide has something to do with it. It has to be addressed differently.
So when you're saying Amazon of the F&B space, I don't remember any names globally, and correct me if I'm wrong, even in the global markets. Is it because of the nature of the industry?
Correct. Globally, it's an industry which is quite unique. Like for example, if you think about P&G or Unilever, the big FMCG brands, they create brands and then they sell them through Walmart, through Tesco, now through Amazon. So the retail and the brands are different, but in F&B it's the same. There is no multi-brand retail per se for F&B, which is quite unique. And that's the reason I think it has not happened in internet so far. So someone has to crack this, you know, problem of location and the brand being the same.
Is that someone you?
We don't know. We are taking a crack at it.
So maybe you can elaborate for our viewers what exactly your strategy is and how you're differentiating yourself from the others.
Just imagine a restaurant on a high street. Okay, and this restaurant has what I call tyranny of location, because it pays huge amount of rent. It was established in that location because the location had tremendous footfall. Now, a couple of years down the line, there is a flyover in front of that location. So it's gone. Footfalls have stopped and the restaurant is going down. This is the problem with F&B. Second, let's say you start a burger brand in a location. And after some time, if it is Bandra, people are moving away from burgers. They're moving to salads. But you've committed your cost. These are the two biggest problems, you know, location and committed costs in F&B. Now, like internet has done to so many other industries, this problem has to be solved through internet. That is our take on it. So our restaurants are invisible. We don't have the tyranny of location. Out of the 150 locations we have, only 30 you can see. Those are our Faasos outlets. But the other 120 actually sell 5 brands. Their rents are 3% of our top line. If you compare it to a normal restaurant, usually it's 25% of the top line. So that's the difference. Secondly, it's very flexible. Today, tomorrow we can launch a pizza brand or a biryani brand or a Lebanese brand from the same kitchen, as long as it's multi-purpose. That's what we are trying at. And I must say we are the only ones in the globe, worldwide, to try and do that.
So would you say it's essential for MSMEs then to necessarily start using technology?
Yes, they have to use technology because technology is the biggest problem solver. But also, blind sort of application of technology across industries is a problem. What works in retail consumer goods may not work in F&B. What works in F&B may not work in fashion, for example. So the technology has to be used, but it has to be in the context of the industry that you're working on. So the way to think about this, you know, and we do this all the time in our board meetings and in our problem solving sessions, that internet or technology basically has to deliver two things. One is great customer experience. Second is lower cost.
You did experiment with an app-only strategy. What was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, we were app only for about 7-8 months, around 2014-15. But then we realized having only one channel means you are restricting your funnel. Like many other mistakes we learned from. And eventually, of course, we launched a website and then moved on. And our technology team is working on creating a food ordering device. We are going to be integrated with Echo, which is the Amazon device, and so on and so forth.
You were saying something interesting earlier about how the role of technology in the F&B industry is to increase customer experience and bring down cost. Can you quantify for our viewers how much the cost savings have been at your end after you've started using technology?
Well, there has been a sea change. All our 150 locations are profitable today. All our 12 cities are profitable today. And 2-3 years back, we were nowhere close to such a situation. So today we would be probably one of the very few F&B on internet companies to become profitable. And all credit goes to technology and how we used it.
What is government regulation like in your industry? And government is going all out as far as food and food processing is concerned. We have the GST. How much of a concern is that going to be to you? And anything specific that you think that this industry must see from the government?
So I think streamlining of regulation is something that really is needed. To start an F&B location, visible, invisible, whatever, you need 5 licenses. That's ridiculous. And that is one of the reasons why smart technology entrepreneurs don't take a crack at solving the basic problem of F&B. A lot of them work on delivery and demand generation. But what about actually making the food and creating brands out of it, using new technologies? Not many people are doing it. That's a benefit for us, because that's why we are probably unique in some sense. But because of this license Raj, that is still continuing in F&B, it's become a very difficult industry to get in for a young tech-savvy entrepreneur. So that needs to be solved. On the taxation side, GST is a great move, because today you won't believe all of our 150 locations across 12 cities, we have 8 to 10 different tax regimes. It's difficult for us, it's difficult for the customer. Like if you have an AC, you pay this service tax. If you don't have an AC, you pay that service tax. If Octroi, every state has different tax structure. All that is so complicated that you need an army of people to manage it. And that is so, that is such a waste of resource, and that is such a productivity drain on any company. So streamlining this, operating like a single country that we are, across states, across geographical locations, would be a great thing.
Funding is something that is a big challenge when it comes to specifically MSMEs across industries, and I don't necessarily want to say that it's the F&B industry. So tell me about what your experience has been and your advice for MSMEs who are looking to raise funds.
Paul Graham, the Y Combinator founder, at some point in time said, that he invests only in cockroaches and not unicorns. What he means is cockroaches don't die. They somehow find a way to live and thrive. While, there are other companies which start with a big bang and then it's a damn squib after a couple of years.
We've seen that happening with a lot of companies in your own space, unicorns.
So we are not a unicorn. Someday we would be, I'm sure, but we are basically cockroaches. We found our way, we learned from our mistakes, we innovated the hell out of the industry, and investors loved that. They saw the unique thinking that we have, not only in India. We are not copycats. Like, typical VC investor thinking is, what are you? Are you Uber of this or Amazon of that, or Spotify of this? Something like that. Are you copying from somewhere across the world? We've never done that. We've created our own destiny. We've thought absolutely uniquely. And that is the reason why, the entire, I would say, the passage of F&B is strewn with dead bodies on both sides. We've been able to live and survive, and now we're doing well. So I think that innovation, that cockroach mentality, has led our investors to have tremendous faith on us. Whatever happens, we would survive, we would thrive. I think that is the reason. I know it's a generic answer, but you won't believe how many paradigms we broke, how many innovations we brought into running our business. And that is the reason we've had some favor with our investors.
Okay, my last two questions. And what are the next few years then looking like for you?
I think it's tremendously exciting. One thing is that you are in an industry which is there for like 200 years and you are trying to do a better job of it. That's one kind of business. Ours is a different kind of business where the industry is not there. F&B on internet, it is fledgling. We are solving it. It's a problem-solving challenge of a lifetime. Thinking about things differently, using technology differently. It's the most exciting time for anyone who is working on this problem. And I, as well as my team, we are extremely excited for the next few years. We would definitely be breaking some barriers, creating some new paradigms, and create a company which would be unique. It may not be as big as Amazon, we don't know, maybe, may not be. But at least we'll do something which would be tremendously unique. There is no doubt about it. So hence, I really look forward to the next 10 years of keeping at it.
If there were three things that you would advise for our MSME entrepreneurs in the F&B space, three things only, what would it be?
If you're an entrepreneur, then the first thing that you have to worry about is a team. Team is everything. Culture is everything. Whatever strategy you have, if you don't have a great team and a culture, it's not going to work. So number one is that. Second, technology. Any time you face a problem, think how you can solve it through technology, not by throwing money at it or throwing people at it. Always keep technology first. Is there a solution to this problem using technology? That will make you scalable, that will make you survive, that will save your money, that will make you lean, and all sorts of good things. And then the third, I think, is that follow your instinct. Don't try to copy someone, because it could get you, short-term profits. But in the long run, you would have a life which is worth living when you do something unique. So I think these are the three things: team, technology, and complete unique instinct-led running your business.
Jaideep, such a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Let's take a break. On the other side, we bring you a special food-focused conversation on our leader focus. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on our Leader Focus, we're bringing you a conversation between an entrepreneur and an expert in the food space. Shriti Shahzad, the founder of BookEventz.in, is in conversation with Gauri Devidyal, the founding partner of The Table, to talk all things food, F&B, and using technology in this industry in this tete-a-tete. Take a look. Gauri, thank you so much for coming back on the Leaders of Tomorrow. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Shruti, thanks for coming on. Maybe we can start by asking you to very briefly describe for our viewers what it is you do.
So I run a startup called BookEventz.com. It's the India's first and the largest online event booking platform. We help users book any kind of event, from wedding to birthday parties to conferences. Their venues, photographers, decorators, everything, we help people book in that online.
Let's talk about technology, and technology is something that is changing dramatically every industry that we look at, whether it's education, whether it's finance, whether it's food and hospitality. And I want to start with you, Gauri. Maybe you can run our viewers through how really you are using technology and what maybe some of the lessons that you've seen, that you've learned, and that you would advise younger startups about how they should be using technology.
Sure. So one of the most obvious uses of technology these days is social media to promote any business. It's definitely something that you have to be on to be talking about your business. You know, whether it's visually on apps like Instagram or whether it's verbally on apps like Twitter, you definitely need to be on that. You know, that's where people are sort of finding out more about what's happening, and especially in the food and beverage industry, you know, it's a very visual product.
I was just going to come to that. Is it easier for you to use social media because it's such a visually rich?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that, you know, you first sort of appeal to the eyes and then the stomach kind of thing. So you definitely have to be on social media, and I would encourage any new business to do that. But with that comes the caveat that, you know, don't just post anything random. You know, have sort of, you know, take pride in what you're posting, use images which are of great quality, professionally taken if possible.
Just a quick question for you, Gauri. Your businesses and your brands really thrive on word of mouth. So does that then clash with having a large online presence, or how have they two sort of worked hand in hand?
No, I think they both can sort of live very happily together, and I think that they also possibly, you have to recognize that there's a different demographic that's very online savvy and digital savvy, and especially our sort of, you know, restaurant business and the brands that we have aren't necessarily all catering to people who are digitally sort of, you know, savvy. And so I think that you just have to use every medium that's out there, and word of mouth is obviously not something that's in your control. It's more that, you know, people have a great experience and talk about it. So yeah, I think we'll sort of, you know, there's no such thing as enough publicity. So
talk to us about, you know, technology. When we have a lot of MSMEs which are in the event management space, it's such a fragmented industry, but you've used technology. Are there a lot of people who are using technology in your industry, and you know, how's technology changing what you do?
So I would say yes, I agree. It's a very fragmented industry. You have small event planners, and we are basically an online event planners. Typically in event planning industry, most of the people don't hire an event planner for their events. Primarily reason being that there is always an event planning fee that comes with an event planner when you hire. So that's when we came up with the idea of online event planning, where we don't have to have a person physically managing and planning the event, and that's why when you don't have a person, you don't incur costs. And at the same time, because you're online, you're doing so much at scale, you have the liberty of pricing with your vendors and everybody, and that's where you can offer better pricing to the customer. This is the primary reason why even being online and not actually being physically present at the event, the customers are looking to get all these vendors booked through us today.
Gauri was saying something interesting. She said, you know, don't necessarily engage with people. I mean, don't get into a war of words, for example. But the flip side of using technology for a business like yours is that anyone, you know, if they are unhappy, maybe could possibly, you know, go onto your platform and have their say. So have you had that, and how have you handled it?
Yeah, so that's pretty much the case. In fact, I mean, as a normal customer, when you're very happy, you don't really review a product or a service. But when you are unhappy, and that's the only time you have social media or online platform as a resort to raising your concern, because maybe you were not able to directly solve it, or maybe you thought that that's the easier way out to solve your concern. I think as customers also, everybody knows that not 100% people could be satisfied with everything. Eventually, even if you have like 10 good reviews and 2-3 bad reviews, I think it's acceptable. Yes, it's a good medium for the customers to raise their voice and get this sorted.
Gauri, you're in an industry where I presume you have, you know, a new restaurant, a new hotel which comes up pretty much every day. How do you handle competition? What advice would you have for our viewers about whatever industry they're in? Being able to stay relevant and take on competition?
So I think that it's not really about taking on competition. I think that when you are establishing your business or your restaurant, it's really important that you have clarity of vision. What is your product and whom are you targeting, and that you do it with passion and integrity. And honestly, the competition almost doesn't even come into the foray, because if you really are doing that, you know, if you've sort of found you know, either a gap in the market, or whatever your reason is for creating your product offering, and you're doing it really well, you know, I don't think that it's, you know, it's a matter of keeping an eye on sort of everyone else around you. I think you need to focus on what you're doing well, and what you're doing, and do it really well, because, you know, places will keep opening around you and closing, and I think the only thing that you can really control is what you're doing.
I remember from when we had you on our last season of the Leaders of Tomorrow, you explained the rationale why you are not necessarily in the market looking for funds because of the kind of model of your business. Have you raised funds, and you know, do you want to tell our viewers about the kind of experience you've had from that?
Yeah, so we've raised funds twice. Initially when we started, we actually bootstrapped for almost a year and a half, and that's when we first raised our funds, and then after another year we raised another round of funds. I think the entire process of funding was a very good experience. One, you also validate your business again, because there's somebody else who is actually validating your business and who believes that yes, your business will grow. So that's one thing that comes with it. But yeah, for us it was not a very easy journey to raise funds. Very different industry, the first time model, and because it has a very good mix of online and offline, people always had questions on would it be able to scale, and how will it be able to scale, and we would want to see at certain level, and that's when we would want to put funding in. But I think it was eventually good scale, and the customers coming in to us, actually having so many bookings done through the platform, which kind of showed that yes, the model does exist. It's going to actually resolving the real customer problem.
We've run out of time, but just a very quick last word from you, Gauri. You have a partner, essentially your husband in the business. Would you advise for our MSMEs, whatever industry they may be in, that it is possibly necessary to have a partner?
Well, I mean, I think that it's difficult for one person maybe to set something up on their own, and I think that my husband actually and I bring two sort of different strengths to the business, and if you find that, you know, it's very helpful to have a trusted partner. I think that's critical to, you know, any business, but also that you're not clashing. So, you know, it's great that we bring our strengths, which you know, helps to sort of grow the business, but without killing each other.
That's very interesting. Actually, my partner, my other co-founder is also my husband. So yeah, I agree to it. You need to have a very well-trusted co-founder, and I think running a business,
it's tricky. It can be tricky because you're like 24/7 together, and you know, it's also something that you don't want to, you know, end up bringing work home, but you know, it's a balance that you have to find.
Fantastic. Thank you both very much for coming down and talking to our viewers about your own personal experiences. That wraps up tonight's episode then of the Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have any questions or you want to be featured here on the show, do write in at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can reach us on Twitter using the hashtag LOT, tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J, or reach us on Facebook on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now, or do call us on that number you see on your screen. We promise to have all your questions answered. We'd love to have you here on the show. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.